Welcome to Maximal Being,
a podcast devoted to ditching fad diets and using real science to get you healthy and feeling great.
I'm Doc Mok, a GI and functional medicine doctor who harnesses the power of gut health to get you achieving your goals.
And I'm Jacky P, a well-informed layman who challenges the experts and asks the questions that you want.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button or leave a comment.
And now, on to the show. And you know, and speaking of that, and thinking of summer, speaking of another myth, right? Because now I'm thinking of the reverse, where everyone talks about cutting season, right? Summer, super sexy summer body, right? And I always notice a ton of cardio going on right around spring before everyone's working on their summer bodies, right? So this is a myth that I think we've discussed plenty of times before. But since we're talking about myths, let's talk about why everyone thinks just doing a ton of cardio is going to burn fat or give you like a six-pack beach body. Like, what is that?
I think people think that way because they've been told to think that way mostly. And maybe because as a secondary that they sweat a lot when they do that. But I can tell you, Jacky P, that some people are not meant to do a lot of cardio, me being one of them, right?
Yes, I'm raising my hand.
Yeah,
I am those people. I am some people.
I've done it, right? I've done it. I've subscribed to that. I've done a lot of running for a long time, 8 miles every other day. That was the sickest that I've ever been in my entire life. Did I have maybe a lower fat percentage? I don't know, maybe, but was I healthy? Definitely not. My cholesterol numbers were awful. My inflammatory markers were crazy. I got all sorts of joint issues from repetitive movement injury. And so for me personally, genetically, I know that the moks, like, we have genes that say we should lift stuff, right? I actually have adenosine monophosphate kinase genes that say we're good at power output, right? And so you need to look at you as an individual and what you do best with. And if you don't have money for fancy genetic testing, you probably can just intuitively know what you're good at and what you're not good at. You know, some people are just good at playing soccer, right? So why not do soccer as your exercise? You don't have to be a gym rat.
And and you use a very long word, so we're gonna have to back up a little bit.
Layman card on the field.
Layman. Real quick, is there shorter, is there an abbreviation for that?
AMPK.
AMPK. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like your body's ability to quickly use that ATP energy.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
And so the moks, we have this gene where we're able to take that ATP and quickly utilize it in our muscle cells for power output. We can move force over distance. That's what we can do.
That's probably, so you probably have a lot of that in your calf muscles, just
that's
stored in there, ready for action. Do we need to leap up 2 flights, Docmok? Because we're ready.
It's like in a cartoon when the road runners running so fast, his legs going around.
Yeah, just like big circles. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly that.
Nice. And now we're on this track, and these myths just keep popping to my head because there's just I see in the gym and I hear about it a lot. I'm a listener. I'm an observer. Let's talk about the more is better myth, right? You got to work out. I saw this guy. I mean, to his credit, he was shredded. Okay, this guy was cut up like a julienne salad, to quote.
Right.
But is more better? Is it always good to go high intensity all the time and work out 7 days a week?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think I have science to back me up on that. I mean, so there are conventional gyms, I won't name names, who basically the goal of those gyms is for you to do high intensity interval training 7 days a week and be in, a certain zone of your heart rate. And what those what I've seen in the studies of those sorts of environments is that inevitably a lot of people will get hurt in
Mm,
those sorts of gym environments and have some sort of neuromuscular injury and stop doing it. And eventually their body habitus, although they may see gains, will kind of eke back into default switch. There are other gym types that do, that I think have a better philosophy, that do weightlifting, they do high intensity interval training, and they do gymnastics to work on flexibility. But in a lot of these studies, they're very good at getting people to their aesthetic goals as well, but also inevitably after in a training period of about 6 months or so, those people will get hurt in some fashion. And then, Jacky P, there comes, general data on things like Tabatas, like by Dr. Tabata, who was
mhm.
actually a trainer for Olympic athletes in skating and created the Tabata method, where you're doing activity and high intensity and then taking small breaks. So say 20 seconds of activity, 10 seconds off. And in his studies and in a lot of the high intensity interval studies, they show benefit, but they show benefit of doses of upwards of 30 minutes a week of high
Whoa.
intensity interval training. And so if you're subscribing to one of these gym philosophies where you're doing an hour 5 to 7 days a week, that is overtraining. And eventually you're going to exhaust your stores. You're not going to go, or you're going to get hurt, and then you're going to go back to default switch. So I think that, and I was working with a client recently who was in the military, and she's a total badass, but she hadn't trained for a while, and so she's getting back into it, and came to me because she wasn't recovering well, because she was trying to do what 20-year-old military
Mm.
her was doing. And I think the concept of scaling is important, Jacky P. Are you familiar with that concept where you kind of like take a percentage of your best self and use that as a way to ratchet it up over time?
I didn't know it's called scaling, but I've done that in the past. If I've taken
Yeah.
a little bit of a break from, working out, I usually I just say I'm like waking my body up, right? I've been on the couch
Yeah.
for a couple weeks. I'm not gonna come in and, try to max out. Uh, but is that what you mean? Like just kind of
Yes.
small stuff?
Yeah. So I mean, like in functional medicine, we meet patients where they're at, and you have to meet your body where it's at too. So if you've been sitting on the couch and not doing anything for months, you can't expect to go and hit 100% of your max on day one, right? That's not fair to ask your body to do that. So you need to scale your exercises appropriately to kind of meet where your body is at that stage in your life. Otherwise, you're going to get upset, or you're going to get hurt, or you're going to be so tired that you're not going to be able to go consistently to be able to
Yeah,
form a habit that you can sustain. So we're all about sustainable habits here,
yeah, sustainability. Yeah, long term, over the long
Yeah.
term, I agree.
Yep.
And that's one thing too I used to do. I used to compare myself to my 20-year-old self or 24-year-old self and be like, oh, I could come in here, throw weights around all day, go play racquetball for an hour, ride my bike home 3 miles,
Yeah.
and like just still be chilling, and I'm not my 20-year-old self. All right, I'm my very
Yeah. Me neither.
35-year-old
Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
sometimes that acceptance is very important. um
Yes.
but I think you're right, folks. If you're out there, you should meet you where you are.
What's going on, Maximal Beings? It's Doc Mock here. Many of you are returning to the gym now, but some are not going back. Regardless of what you plan, Rogue has got the right gear to fit your needs. I personally own a barbell set and love it. The Black Ops shorts are sweat resistant and flexible for getting deep in your squats. Head on over to maximalbeing.com/rogue for our referral link. Order 3 items and they ship for free. And as usual, it's Doc Mock, and I'm here to maximize your pathway to wellness. If you're stuck at home and cannot make it to the grocery store, delivery may be the best way to stay clean and healthy. Instacart is the national leader in the direct-to-home delivery service. With numerous major chains and food from smaller stores, you can get those local veggies sent directly to your doorstep. Head on over to maximalbeing.com/Instacart and maximize your nutrition today.
But I
Yeah.
was just thinking, and I'm gonna take this quick segue because I think we might be running out of time, DocMok. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I think so.
We've never asked each other the 3 questions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think I want to ask you your 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
And I might have some other rapid fire questions because I have random questions too that always spring up. But I mean, I think we all know the answer if you've listened to at least 1 or 2 episodes. But what is your favorite exercise, DocMok?
Yeah. I like compound movements. So I think my favorite exercise of all time is the clean and jerk. You're moving a barbell from the ground to overhead and doing it quickly. So it's cardio. It works almost every muscle in the body. It's a fantastic workout. I find that my heart rate goes up highest when I do compound lifting movements. But again, I got that amp K thing going on. So,
Yeah, I'm about to say that and that might be why you like it so much. It's just like your body's like, this is what I need. Give me more of it.
Can I get my book? Let me get it.
Yes, go get your book.
Let me get the book.
I'm gonna get your book. Go get your book, DocMok, and I'm gonna keep the folks nice and distracted by talking long and stretching out my words. There he is. DocMok is back. I'm back.
Yeah. So the next question is, what's your favorite health book?
What is your favorite health book and why? Oh, I think we're losing. There's like a
you can't really see it.
Ooh,
I like Beyond Training by Ben Greenfield. This is, look at how thick.
Yeah,
that book
that's a hardy
is.
book.
I mean, Ben Greenfield is a leader in the podcast world. He's a functional medicine person. He has a master's in biochemistry. He's exceptionally smart. He's a biohacker, so he does a lot of self experimentation, which I think is interesting. And this book is just a really good overview of almost every organ system and everything wellness that you could want to do. I think it's a great reference. I think, if I had to critique it, he doesn't always define what data he cites is an animal study and is a human study. So, for the listeners out there, just scrutinize those data before implementing everything. But I think it's a really just good place to get a great base for your wellness journey.
Nice. That's a good book. And no, I don't think anyone has mentioned that on any of our episodes, if I recall.
That's
Actually,
right.
Speaking of, this is a very random question, but I guess we're in the question round, if I can ask it. And I don't want to ruin the magic, but do you remember like what you spoke about in each episode for the most part? Or do you like have reference points? Like, how do you keep track of that?
Yeah, I have a pretty good remembrance of a lot of the things that we've talked about over the years. And I don't think that we've doubled up on a lot of topics, really. Like like sleep we've talked on a couple of times, because how important is sleep, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Omega-3s have come up a number of times, but it's just because
but I mean, omega-3 is a hero. Like, it comes up in every conversation, and like, it doesn't matter what we're talking about.
It does everything.
It does everything. Like, I know we like to say there's no such thing as a magic bullet, but omega-3 is pretty close. Like,
exactly.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, every person should be on them, I think, in some capacity. Yeah.
I agree. Okay.
Do you remember most of the podcast? No.
DocMok, I am a dog with a ball. I remember what we're talking about today. My wife might ask me, how's the podcast? I'm gonna give her some highlights because she doesn't listen. So I say that freely because I know she's not gonna hear it. But then I complain to her. I'm like, hey, if you just listen, because there's some good stuff on here.
That's right.
I lied. She actually has been starting to listen. She's like way back, like early episode that she listens to while she's running errands. But
Nice.
no, like I remember the conversations and the people, but like sometimes you're like, oh, if you listen to episode 12, we talked about this. I'm like, wow, this Is there like an index card in front of you or something? I'm like, "Docmok." It's just
I
very
just
impressive.
remember stuff. I'm
It's just
lucky. I'm
it's just
I'm
that big
lucky.
old brain of yours. That's why. That's all it
Thanks.
is.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Great. I got a quick question.
Yeah.
'Cause I saw this today as well at the gym. So I saw someone with they were doing deadlifts and they had a brace, a back brace. Now, I didn't think anything of it. I think, if you need a brace for whatever reason, but from what I can see, it looked like this particular person may have been lifting up out of his lifting range.
Okay.
And I always remember I subscribed to this myth, and I don't even know what I think about it anymore, but I always felt like do braces help or hurt? Do they become a crutch? What are your thoughts? And I don't even know if there's
Sure.
any science on this.
Yeah, there is. I think it actually increases your athletic performance is the research that I have read. Emails at team@maximalbeing.com if any of you out there know
Yeah,
anything different than that. But in working with a coach and perfecting my Olympic lifts, we talked about that. And I've done some research myself, and I think it actually will increase your ability to output, strength, power.
gotcha.
Is a deadlift the best way to implement that device? I don't think so. I think that in doing compound lifting or really like a squat is a great way to implement it, because in that particular lift, you're utilizing your core muscles. You're bracing your core muscles as a way of stabilizing the weight on top of your shoulders. And so the Valsalva maneuver, which is when you are inhaling and exhaling and can actually use that as a source of power, becomes more important. With a deadlift, the way that you get the weight lifted is I think twofold in the mechanics. And again, in working with the coach, number one is keeping the weight closest to your body as possible.
Mm.
So when I'm deadlifting, I'm actually dragging the weight over my shins, over my knees, and up to my thighs. Actually, the further out the weight goes, and there's actually a formula for it based on physics, the heavier the weight feels to your body by about 15 pounds per, I think, centimeter outwards that it goes. So
Oh, wow.
keeping it close is important. And then the hinge is important. That's that movement where you're extending with your back from a kind of a bent over standpoint with your legs already engaged. That hinge is what allows you to engage your core muscles, which there are more of, right, than your arms, to lift that weight. So the hinge is really, really important.
That's good to know, because I'll tell you something. I've been doing deadlifts since Bob, who was on an episode, I don't remember which one,
Yeah.
introduced
Yeah.
him to me many
Number
moons
4,
ago.
maybe.
Episode 4,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And I
About the
always
dirty gyms. Yeah.
Dirty Gyms. Yes, I do
Yeah.
remember that. Good episode. Uh,
Yeah.
but because
That
of
was
my
your
height,
first appearance, right?
no, mine's was. I think I was the next episode I had an appearance. I was, because I listened to that one and I was like, oh man, Bob did really great. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is a tough act to follow. Because Bob is great. That's why. But yeah, for me, I honestly at least once a month look up a tutorial for deadlift form, because I'm
Yeah.
6'6", my arms are long, and it's just
Yep.
always. So I've been looking at things to substitute that, because
Yeah.
now I'm in back to changing philosophies. Now I like slow, slow movements. Like if I'm benching, I'll bench maybe 80%, 75%, but just
Yep.
slow and controlled. Uh,
Yes.
because I feel the burn better, and I like that, because the
Yeah.
ego's gone. I don't need to lift up 2-3 plates and bench my max. I don't need that stuff anymore. I'm just
Yes.
trying to keep off the cobwebs off the
And
body.
I like too, Jacky P, like you can also add on things like bands onto your
Mm,
exercise, which adds so much resistance. I mean, you'll
yep,
feel like a total weakling in terms of
yep.
your RPE. Like you won't be able to lift as much, but you're getting sustained muscle contraction. So your
Mm,
muscles are contracting on the upward part of the bench and the downward part of the bench
yep.
with bands.
Yep. Mixing it up, mix it up.
Yeah.
What is the craziest diet you've heard of, Doc Mock? we're been on. I mean, I know about that 1,200 calorie deficit that we've discussed. I mean, you could bring that up, but what
Yeah.
else you got?
Yeah. So I think the craziest diets that I've heard on, I think the diet may be the craziest one, where you're injecting yourself with HCG to stimulate some sort of fat burning pathway.
Oh boy.
For the listeners out there, HCG is what is made by the placenta to support life of a fetus. And for those of you that have pregnant people out there in your lives, HCG is also what makes that person nauseated and vomits, like the morning sickness
Oh
component.
boy.
And so it's my assumption with this diet, I've never tried it, but talking to our guest before, that vomiting and some very unhealthy habits probably also come along with that particular diet. So I think that is the weirdest one that I've ever heard of. I think in terms of things that I've done that have worked the least for me, I was vegan for 2 years. It
Mm,
was awful. I think if philosophies aside, I care for our animals, I care for our planet. But when you're vegan, right? So I definitely in retrospect was lacking some sort of essential amino acid. And my muscles just always were achy
yeah.
and just hurt. But you also reach for, you're eating a lot of vegetables, but then you're also eating all these frankenfood pieces of garbage, right? You're
Mm,
eating fake cheese, and you're eating fake chicken nuggets, and all this stuff is just made of
yeah.
chemicals and biochemistry, and so you're putting all of that in your body. And so I think it's better to just eat real food, and that's what I ultimately settled on, Jacky.
Paleo, keto, vegan, and carnivore. Maybe you've tried them all, but did you have success? Are you still doing that diet? Turns out there's not just one diet right for one particular person. By understanding how your body works and the relationship behind your body's workings and these diets, you can then approach the perfect plan for you. In the Perfect Human Diet course, we talk to you about your body's inner workings and the pros and cons of each plan. We discuss how our ancestors ate and have eaten, and lay a framework to tailoring a plan that is perfect for you. To learn more about the Perfect Human Diet course, head to maximalbeing.com/courses to find out more. And as always, I'm Doc Mock, and I'm here to maximize your health. You cannot supplement your way to health, but there are things that we need to add to our lives that can maximize our pathway to wellness. The American diet is virtually devoid of omega-3 fatty acids, which play a major role in cardiovascular disease, gut permeability, and mental health. Personally, I take omega-3s every night, and iHerb is the best place for clean, natural sources of supplements. I love the ZenWise omega-3 fatty acid supplement, which is free of fish burps and good for the environment. Head on over to maximalbeing.com/iHerb, that's IHERB, and enter the code B as in boy, D as in dog, B as in boy, 5528, and receive 10% off your orders for all supplements. Maximize your supplements with iHerb.
And that brings back to another myth, because we are talking about spooky myths. And I don't hear about it much today, but I remember it was very strong that, like, just because it was vegan, it was healthy, right? Like, there was this
Right.
huge, just because it's
Yeah.
vegan, it's healthy. You have a raw vegetable diet, you're healthy, you're gonna do it. Just, and I couldn't disagree more. I love, I'm Caribbean. I love pork. I love beef. I love chicken. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone, but if it was legal to eat like a giraffe, I probably would try a giraffe. I mean, just for curiosity. Giraffes are
Yeah.
awesome, majestic creatures, but
Yeah.
I am a carnivorous person, and I just remember there are many folks that are like, oh yeah, I'm vegan and I'm already losing weight and all this stuff. I'm like, maybe it was because when you have chicken, you're having fried chicken with sauce, like all
Yeah.
sorts of sauces on it, right? Like, chicken
Right.
isn't the bad guy, it's how you're preparing your chicken.
Yes.
So that's another myth I like to point out. Another myth
Yeah.
too, speaking of working out, this popped into my head. I read an article uh, that they looked at Olympic athletes and high performance athletes, and they were at their highest intensity about 4% of the time during their training. So that's another thing for
Well put.
the gym hardos out there, right? If Olympic athletes who are
Yes.
training,
Right.
right, to compete with the other best athletes on the planet are only pushing
Yeah.
it 4% of the time, perhaps they might
Yep.
be onto something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Scale your exercises, people.
scale,
Just
folks,
start
scale.
slow, celebrate the
Yeah,
wins, and then add
exactly.
an extra plate.
Yeah. And if it's a carrot, eat a carrot.
And if it's a
I
carrot,
eat a
eat the
carrot. I
carrot.
say that, speaking of health books, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I don't read a lot of health books. I don't have a favorite one, but my favorite thing in my head is I would be at dinner and I feel like, you know what? I haven't really been eating great lately. Let me get something that's on a healthier side, right? Lighter side if I'm out to eat. And in my brain, I swear I hear Doc Mock say, if it's a carrot, eat a carrot. And I'll just like look for a dish that has some protein
Yeah,
and vegetables and a grain.
exactly.
And that's it, right? Like I don't
Simple.
say, oh, I've got to have a salad, right? Because sometimes a salad is the worst thing on the menu.
Sometimes the
And
salad is really boring too,
yeah,
right?
also true, right? You're out to dinner, right?
Yeah,
So I would say that's my favorite health book, right?
yeah.
The less than 10 word book that Doc Mock. If
It
it's
was
a
the yeah.
carrot, eat a carrot. I guess it's what,
What's
6 words.
your favorite exercise, Jacky P?
So my favorite exercise actually I have two, but for different reasons. My
Yeah,
first favorite exercise is I think it was from P90X. Do you remember the old P90? So there's a
love
core workout.
P90X.
There was a
Yeah,
core workout that's I think it's 8 to 10 minutes. I have it saved from
Superman
ages.
banana.
I don't remember. Like this is like it's like a MOV file. Like my
Yeah,
friend ripped it off a CD, and it
yeah.
is my favorite workout because to this day I cannot. I mean, I cannot get through the entire workout and do every exercise. He does.
Yeah.
I think it was like 8 or 9 different core works out, and it adds up to like 1,000 reps or something. But it's just like a very good, intense
Wow.
10-minute workout, and I mean, I love it. I don't know, like it's really like a good sweat. And then my other favorite exercise is very basic of me is I really like a good bench press. I don't
Nice.
know why. Like I do dumbbells and this is something I learned from uh oh Graham actually. Aaron
Yeah.
Graham is have dumbbells, keep one dumbbell up and just do 3 on the left arm, keep the left arm up and do 3 on the right arm. And
Nice.
my OCD, it helps because I feel like I'm being symmetrical. I don't want, so those are my two favorite exercises uh in the realm. So
I feel like when you're benching, you feel like you're winning.
yes,
You just feel like
yeah,
you've accomplished something,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always like when I don't feel like going to the gym, even if I'm doing any other body part, I will do just a quick set on the bench press because it gets me into like workout mode. Like, oh yeah, that's right. You like doing this stuff. And then I'll do whatever I need to do. So
Love it.
that's mine.
What's
So
what's the weirdest diet you've been on or heard of?
oh, Taco Bell diet.
You
I heard
just
I was
have
in
diarrhea
college.
all the
Yeah.
time and
No, actually, so I have an iron. Speaking of microbiomes, I've got a tank docmok. Uh
yeah.
I loved Taco Bell. I mean, literally for Christmas, my brother gave me $100 Taco Bell card every year. And I'd be done by like then February. This was in college, by the way, right? So,
Yeah.
and I remember reading, and it was kind of a joke, but kind of serious. And they're like, oh, like a Taco Bell diet, you could use a Taco Bell diet, eat nothing but Taco Bell, and just like not put sour cream on everything. And as you basically have your meat, your lettuce, your cheese. And I don't know if it worked or not. I was also 20, so the metabolism was a different place, and
Yeah.
I played racquetball every day for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it definitely probably wasn't a good test, but that was the strangest diet. And I'll be honest with you, I loved every minute of it because I love Taco Bell. I still do love Taco
Just
Bell, actually. I just
I
don't have it much.
all the fire sauce just move things through at such a
Oh yeah.
pace that you
Oh yeah.
couldn't
Yeah. I've
digest
never been more
anything.
regular in my life, Doc.
Yeah, I won't lie. I used to be able to polish off an entire grande meal by
Oof. Yeah.
myself. Yeah,
So
yeah.
good.
120-pound Doc Mock used to be
Wow.
able to do it. Yeah. No more.
It's
No more.
yeah, it's just it is for me. It's still a guilty meal. I'll go see Bob again. Go check out episode 4,
Yep.
and there's a Taco Bell on the way. And if if I'm feeling, dangerous, I might stop and get like something safe. I don't get any of these crazy burritos with the stuff in it, but like
With
it was like a,
Doritos on it, yeah.
yeah, that's too much. But like sometimes I just get like a really basic, like steak taco, or they have these spicy potato tacos,
Yep.
and they're pretty good. My wife is passes, of course, as I should probably too, but I'm nostalgic, so
We're about to have
yeah.
Mexican food right now. I mean, but it's
Ooh.
homemade and home grilled and all that
Oh, that's
goodness.
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
dude.
of these foods that we eat that are fast food, if they're made at home, can be very nutritiously sound, you know?
Yep. A
So
lot of my patients, it's like, wait, you're telling me to eat a salad for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I'm like, no, I'm telling you
yeah.
not to eat a salad. I'm
Hmm.
telling you to eat all the bajillion other vegetables that exist to give your microbiome some diversity. Because
Hmm.
diversity in all forms of life is
Yes.
good.
Diversity slaps, folks, as the
Yeah.
young kids say. Diversity slaps. Uh, well, Doc Mock, as I look at the time, it saddens me. All great things can't
I
last
know.
forever, because I think we might be out of time.
I know.
It's
This went
tough.
fast.
It did
Like
go fast. I thought this was going to be
you
a very quick one, and we went the full hour, maybe more.
I know. Yeah, this is definitely a two-parter, ladies and
Yeah, for
gentlemen.
sure. For
Definitely a
sure. Yeah.
two-parter. But when you get the
Definitely.
two of us in a virtual
Yeah.
room,
We're
that's what
just we
happens.
just we just like to chat, we're chatty, just like to gab, sip some tea,
Hmm. Talk
catch
about
up,
some Taco Bell, a little
talk
bit
about
of
Taco
yeah, a
Bell. Listen,
little bit of fake news out there. Hmm.
fake news. Yeah, guys, listen.
Check your
It's
sources.
check your sources. That's it. Mind your sources, right?
Yep.
Like, see who, if there's a study, see who's funding the study. That's like a good
Hmm.
first step, right? If there's a
Yes.
study that says, oh, chocolate's good for you, check who's funding that study. It might be
Is it a
someone who
chocolate
benefits
company?
from selling chocolate.
Yeah,
Just
that's
saying,
right.
it's happened. It's happened before. It'll happen again. So,
Yep.
but Doc Mott, can you do that thing you do and take us out?
Yeah. For those of you that haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. It helps us to get the word out. You can send us a question at team@maximalbeing.com. I hope you all have a spooky and safe and healthy Halloween. I got to say, Jacky P, I have been meeting with a lot of clients one-on-one recently. People are paying a little bit of a premium, but they want to hear what Maximal Being has to do for them and their wellness journey. So Jacky P, it's a pleasure. I appreciate your knowledge, and he's not going to say it, ladies and gentlemen, but this man is rising into the top of financial
Oh,
people in this world. He's about to present at a conference, and he has a lot of amazing things to say. So, shoot us an email if you want to reach out to him about that.
Doc Mott, you spoil me. Thank you for your kind words. I am just
So,
happy to see your face. That's all it is.
no,
That's all I'm gonna say.
it's a pleasure, buddy. So I'm Doc Mock, and I'm here with Jacky P, and we are here to maximize your health.
What's going on, Maximal Beings? Doc Mock here. If you haven't done so already, leave us a comment and hit the subscribe button. Let your friends and family know. That way we can get the word out and continue to bash the bro science.